Call this meeting to order for the Lincoln Planning and Zoning Board meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Roll call. Andrew Berry. Here. Phyllis Graham.
Here.
Catherine Vachon.
Here.
Betty Midell.
Here.
Jimmy Bowen.
Here.
Justin Boss. Here. Jimmy, would you like to lead us in the invocation and pledge?
God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to be on this board. Pray, God, that you just give us the knowledge and the wisdom to make wise decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have I had a chance to read the agenda? Take a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
A second.
All in favor? All opposed? All right. Have I had a chance to review the minutes and short meeting last month?
Make a motion to approve.
I got a motion to approve.
A second.
Got a second? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, first item from new business. An application has been submitted by Alan Skipper and Tiffany Edwards with Wesley Louise Properties LLC requesting a conceptual site plan approval for a proposed plus or minus 20,000 square foot assisted living and memory care facility. The subject property owned by Keith and Joy Woods are located at 290 South Columbia. The parcels are zoned B2 general commercial. Parcel numbers are R2090006E00 and R2090006. Somebody like to come up and speak about this item?
Good evening, John Paul Moore with Thomas & Hutton, here on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is here as well, if you have any questions that I may not can answer. So plans before you tonight, concept plan amendment, or concept plan application. For this, like you said, 20,000 square foot plus or minus building, proposed parking. We put this plan together with the architect team. Andy Lynch is here on behalf of the architect team. So I think we went through the additional requirements for this type of use. We outlined those in the narrative, went through the 5 items. If y'all have any questions about those, we can go into them in detail. But other than that, do y'all have any questions or for me or the applicant?
This is a remodel. I heard that in the word that you had said that you're going to redo the maintain integrity of the structure. It's already there.
No, sir. So the existing building up front will stay as is. The parking lot will be redone around it, but that building will stay. And this will be a new building in the back behind it. You see the plan. It's kind of the box up front, so to speak.
Highway 21, a lot of people use Weisenbaker. So visitors that are coming for this development, are you planning on using 21 from the exit off of Weisenbaker and off of Willow Peg?
So the main access will be off of 21.
Okay.
We have not spoken with DOT yet about that because we wanted your blessing on the concept plan first. But the next steps will be contact DOT because we do kind of want to realign that a little bit to make it easier for patrons and residents to use it, come in and out, as well as the people working there. The back entrance off Magnolia will just be a service access, maybe some employee parking. There's only a few spaces back there, but is that so no, it really won't cause any traffic to come on the Weisenbaker to get to it. It's off of 21.
14.
Do y'all plan on zoning all the 3 properties together if the same, if this is approved, or is this, how's that gonna work?
I don't know that answer right now. You mean re-subdivide it?
Yeah, because it's 3 separate properties.
Right. Well, we've already joined the
Well,
two.
yeah,
Right.
sorry, the front and the back.
We've already joined the two in the back together. I guess that'll depend on if
This gets approved.
right
Okay.
how this moves forward. We may have to redelineate the property line or recombine it together. I'm not sure.
So these are gonna be sold as residential homes, but it's assisted living?
No. It's an assisted living facility for
Okay,
just like a normal memory care and assisted living facility. For those to be little, I don't know if you call them apartments. Is that the right? Units for them to live in while they get taken care of. It's not necessarily.
Insurance, sort of, is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I guess it's all called a rental. I mean, when your grandmama goes into one, I don't know if you necessarily call it a rental, but I mean it's its own use.
so it's not gonna be like apartment buildings, it's gonna be little individual apartment houses?
No, it's one building with. And have you never been to an assisted living?
No.
Well, you're blessed.
Sorry. Okay.
Says all one facility with individual and private.
It is, right, yeah.
Okay, I see it. Okay.
So it's a one level individual facility, all with private units. So they essentially sign a month to month contract with.
Okay.
So they're not really tenants because the state of Georgia that would license this facility considers it their home. But it would be individual units within inside the business itself.
Okay.
And you were asking about insurance. Generally, insurance that pays for it would be long-term care insurance. Some people can get VA pension that will help offset the cost, and then private pay. We wouldn't be doing any Medicaid or anything like that.
So I get
If you
this,
could just state your name for the record.
Alan Skipper,
Thank you.
yes.
I get this is conceptual. I just want to know how far the lease can get into this with the assisted living home. Is there going to be like a office area where you have like a nursing station for those individual residents that that would like to partake in something like that? And then I know sometimes with assisted living you have people that are pretty much ambulatory and they can kind of be a little bit more independent. They just need people to check up on them from time to time, just be in that type of facility. So I know it's conceptualized, but like how far are these, like what type of services are you going to be providing to the individuals who reside in this assisted living home?
So per the state rules and regulations, they have to be capable of self-preservation to stay in assisted living. So if we were to pull the fire alarm, they have to be able to physically transfer themselves with a one person assist to a wheelchair and self-propel out. So we wouldn't be taking anybody of severe acuity who needs like nursing home care. It would be more independent that just can't stay at home anymore, that needs a little bit of assistance. So we would provide watchful oversight, medication, assistance, laundry, meal planning, activities, those types of things. So no skilled nursing. Yes.
Got you. And I saw in the conceptual that it's close by residential, and you said that you're going to do landscaping, buffering and stuff. Can you show me where that's located at on the map up there?
Which portion?
Landscaping and buffering.
So again, this is conceptual plan. So there's a required setback off of Magnolia that will be planted to the city's buffer standard. That's really the main direction. If there's commercials to the south, in the east, and then the pond's kind of on the north side of it, provide some setback and buffer there. So it's really, there's no touching residential, if that makes sense. Everything else is across Magnolia. But yeah, there'll be a setback and buffer planted there. That's what those little circle symbols are. Is again, it's very conceptual. But, when we come back for the specific plan, development plan application, we'll show you all the species and sizes and all that stuff then. And we'll have to come back through it for final approval.
I'm good.
Okay.
Sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Where's the city feel on
it's a by right use, so, and they've met the conceptual requirements, so.
Do I have somebody make a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna move that the,
Do you wanna ask for public comment?
Oh, sorry. Does anybody from public want to speak? Sorry. Yeah, yes.
I'm Karen Blackwell, and my concern is the traffic on 21. It's bad now. What's it gonna be like? All these apartment. I mean, this is great. My brother tried to build one years ago up here, and he opened up Marshview out on Navajo, and he's been in the nursing home business all his life. And I think it's wonderful, but I'm just concerned about the traffic. Because it's hard to get on 21.
Yeah, I live in that neighborhood right there. It's very bad some mornings leaving Weisenbaker. I guess once they get to that point, I guess the state's gonna have the ultimate ruling on 21 because we have no technical jurisdiction on 21, correct?
Right, so it'll be up to the DOT, but, to decide if they're in agreement with the curb cut, but considering that there's already one on 21, they're just looking to realign it. It would be surprising if DOT did not approve it. Now, I would add too, though, that, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I mean, I don't ever turn left out of there. I always go, go the other way. But, this is one of the least intense uses that would generate a very low amount of traffic that could go in this general commercial area, so.
I mean, I'm all for it.
Mhm.
So, that was just my concern.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Anyone else want to care to speak?
I'd like to say something though, with regards to traffic. One of the reasons why I decided to actually be a part of this board is because I realized that we need to address some infrastructure issues here with the growth here in Effingham County and Lincoln. But I just want to let you know now that with regards to the comprehensive city plan, a lot of these developments that's coming, for instance, this one right here, it aligns very well with the comprehensive plan for what we're trying to do for the community as a whole, the city. The 21, unfortunately, is not regulated by the city of Lincoln or Effingham County. It's regulated by the state, DOT and things like that. So if anything, what I'm learning by sitting on this board is just how can we better influence them to listen to some of our concerns, not being so much of being reactive, but more proactive, So I would challenge each and every one because traffic is a problem. And unfortunately, I work at the port and we realize that a lot of traffic is because of us. But we just need to figure out what can we do to start really having the right people address those concerns in a timely fashion because we're growing fast, So I just wanted to share because those are my concerns too. And I was like, get on here, make a difference. And then I realized we have no influence on the 21. That is a state issue. It's a DOT type thing. And there's a lot of great establishments, great ideas. It's kind of like you said, this right here. I mean, taking care of our age population is something that we don't have right now. So as far as the way it lines up, things are looking pretty good with that. So if nobody has any other comments, I'll go ahead and make a motion. Is that okay? All right, I'm going to make a motion of Rickens Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval for the conceptual planning of the proposed assisted living memorial care facility located at 290 South Columbia Avenue. Finding that request consistent with the City of Lincoln Unified Development Ordinance and City of Lincoln Comprehensive Plan 2024, and understanding that this approval is conceptual only and subject to full compliance with all applicable site development, permitting, and review requirements.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, the next step for this item is going to Monday's council meeting, so January 26th, 6:30 in this room. No? I mean, if you want me to postpone it, I will, but. No. We've got a plan for next week, so.
On the, item number 2 is gonna be review the first set of 2026 Unified Development Ordinance amendments. These amendments include changes in chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. You wanna come up and?
Okay, so we've got a number of amendments that are coming forward to you. So I'm just going to start at chapter 1. I'm just going to go chapter by chapter. I'll stop after each chapter and see if you have any questions. And then let me know how you'd like to do public comments, if you want to do it at the end of the entire set or by chapter.
I'm gonna guess about
You won't have
2
much.
minutes that it's gonna probably just be at the very end.
Okay, all right. So we'll start with,
I guess it's only one.
okay. So we'll start with chapter 1, enforcement. So right now, our code enforcement officer cannot issue citations. So whenever he is at the point where he has to write a citation, we try to get compliance as much as possible first, but sometimes it gets to the point where we have to write a citation. When he does, he has to contact the police department to come out there and meet him. And unfortunately, there's been several times lately where he, identifies that somebody's there, calls, by the time the police department can get there, because they have other things that they're working on, the person has left the house and he's no longer able to write the citation, because we have to serve people in person. So we're changing or updating our code to give him permission to issue citations for violations of the UDO. So and along with this, we will be, I'm sorry?
Without the assistance of the police.
Without the police having to come to write the actual ticket. So this will streamline things a little bit. We've had, this code enforcement officer is not ticket happy. It's not going to cause more tickets to be written. I mean, he's all about trying to get compliance first. It works better for the city. So that's the proposal. And then along with this, which it wouldn't come to y'all because it's the municipal code, but we'll also be asking for the same change from council for the municipal code. So any violations that are specific to the municipal code and not found within the UDO, we would also ask that he be given the ability to write those tickets, just so that y'all know. So any questions with chapter 1? Okay. All right. Sorry, I did have one more portion in chapter 1. So the other part is, if you'll remember, when we were bringing forward a proposed house for the Habitat property off of 3rd Street, one of the issues was that it was a non-conforming lot. So as such, it had to get not a typical variance, but it had to go through the basic variance process. And that had to have a public hearing. It had to come to the board and council. And that's true of any non-conforming lot in the city, the way the code's written. So after talking to our attorney and some of the council members, I'm proposing that be given, that responsibility be given to the city planner instead of having to go through that entire process. Because they do still have to meet 3 criteria, but as long as they meet those criteria, there's no reason not to give them. And it's basically, do they own property next door? Are they building only one single family house? Is there any detriment? So that's the proposal there.
So when you say that they own property next door,
Adjacent property, I should say.
or, okay. So would they be, like, if you have a non-conforming lot and you own the lot next to it, that's fine, you can still build on that lot?
Well, the idea is that you would be able to maybe take some property from the adjacent lot next door to be able to make the one lot conforming. And so
Okay.
that's why that's
Okay,
asked.
okay, okay.
So, but in most cases of the ones I've come across, somebody doesn't own, I mean, these are just lots in single family subdivisions. They don't own property adjacent to them. So. All right, chapter 2, definitions. So we are proposing, I'm not going to read the definitions to y'all, but we are proposing 2 new definitions. One for an enclosed data center. I do want to make it clear that what we're putting in is for a fully enclosed data center. There are 2 different types. There's enclosed, and then there's the one that where everything's on the outside. So the only one that we would be proposing, and you'll see this as we get into chapter 3 in the use chapter, is one that would be fully enclosed. The other definition that we're adding is usable amenities. You'll see when we get to chapter 8, the subdivision chapter, we're requiring that usable amenities be included in all of our major subdivisions. Right now, it's kind of a nice to have if the applicant wants to add an amenity, but we're not requiring them right now. So we're going to start requiring specific types of usable amenities. You'd be surprised by how many it's they could walk around the detention pond, and that's the amenity. So we're going to require usable amenities, and you'll see when we get into chapter 8 that we're also going to require that once a certain percentage of the homes are built, that those amenities be built as well. So, any
So is there-
questions?
You want me to wait till you get to?
Oh no, this
section
is the
A?
end of chapter 2. So go ahead.
Like when you say usable, like obviously, like a swimming pool or a huge clubhouse is going to be a huge use of land, and where like a pavilion, they could really you could have a 10 by 10. Like what? is
Right,
there
we're
gonna be
being
a certain-
flexible. I mean, we've listed some, but try not to. We know we won't include everything. So there are things like playgrounds or pools, but it can also be walking trails and pocket parks and greens. If you remember, last month we saw the proposal for the rezoning off of McCall and Blue Jay, where they've got some fields in the power line easement, but that's a great place to show a field and have it, play soccer, play baseball, something like that. So just some
I was just trying to
amenities.
stop something like getting away with something like very menial that may not be actual quote unquote usable. That's something that the neighbors probably wouldn't even use anyways, like trying to make it more.
Right, we're going to try to take
Substantial.
a pretty not a hard line, but we're going to take a hard look at what they're proposing for
Okay.
usable amenities so that we can make that determination.
Okay, yeah, because I was like,
So.
if you just simply just do like you said, a walking trail around the
Detention pond,
detention
right,
pond, I mean, nobody's ever going to use that.
right. So, any other questions on chapter 2?
What's the data center?
So, a data center is I know, right?
It's the
It's
cloud.
where exactly how all of your stuff is saved to the cloud. This is how it's done. So it's a really large facility. There's not very many people that work there. It's
I mean, I'm just curious as to why we need it.
It's coming. It does, and it's affected a lot of more areas around here than.
The difference between an indoor data center and an outdoor data center, I didn't catch that.
Sure. So the option is to have everything on the outside, which what we found is that those are very noisy when they are in.
What would be on the outside? Antennas?
You know when you're driving,
Printers?
Generator.
you know where when you're downtown Savannah, there's a AT&T building that has like no cars. It's got a big fence around it in downtown Savannah.
I'm trying not to go downtown.
That's a data center. I can't remember what it's at. I just know it's right by the
I was just
convention.
kidding.
Yeah, that's what.
I understand that
Yeah.
part, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're very industrial nature. And you'll see as we go through, we're proposing some conditions for it. You'll see when we get to chapter 3 where they would be required to be on a pretty significantly sized piece of property. This isn't something that we want to be right next to somebody's house or business or anything like that. So, all right, moving on to chapter 3. So the first change is related to height. We're proposing in our 2 industrial districts that the height be changed from 50 feet to 65 feet. So the reason it was set at 50 feet is because we did not used to have a fire truck that had the ability to protect anything over 50 feet. And so that's why it was set there. We are getting, later this spring, we're getting a new ladder truck. And so we will have the ability actually to go even higher than this. I think up to 100 feet, but we thought 65 feet is probably, a reasonable height to go to. So that's the reason for the change there. Under perimeter fence and wall standards and requirements, we are, if you remember and I'm going to say back in 2023, we made some significant changes to our perimeter fence and wall standards section. It used to be that there was just one paragraph and it was very minimal. And a couple of fences went up that were able to be built because our regulations were not very strenuous. So we added some more regulations to it. As part of that, we allowed fences to be constructed in the front setback. And part of the reason for that is we were getting quite a few variances for people to build fences in the front setback. So we went ahead and allowed that and said that if you were building in the front setback, that it could only be 4 feet in height and had to have openings in it. Well, we've had some fences recently that have been built outside of the front setback, taller than 4 feet and not with openings because they're not in that setback. And there have been some concerns about the look of those. And so the request was that we add the language that I put here is that regardless of whether or not the fence is located within a setback in the front yard, the fence can still only be 4 feet high and has to have openings. So, all right, moving on to the use table, you'll see we've added enclosed data center to the use table and made it a special use in the light industrial zoning district only. Under accessory structures, this came from our building inspector. Right, the way the previous code was written was that all accessory buildings had to meet applicable building codes and receive a permit. And we added this over 250 square feet into the new code. And the problem with that is it doesn't get a building permit, which means we don't check for setbacks and things like that. So we're taking out that over 250 square feet. All right, moving on to special use regulations. So these are all the regulations I was talking about, Mr. Bowen, related to data centers. So the minimum parcel size we're proposing to be 200 acres. So as you know, we don't have a lot of parcels that size in Rincon, so it's going to be pretty limited where it can go. And then being on a parcel of that size, it would not necessarily be by residential or anything like that. All of the components have to be located within fully enclosed buildings or structures. Accessory offices are allowed as long as they're subordinate to the principal use. So that just means that we wouldn't have you wouldn't have an office there that wasn't specifically related to the data center. And then all mechanical equipment, generators, and cooling systems have to be screened and designed to minimize noise, vibration, and visual impacts to adjacent properties and public rights of way.
How do we keep them out?
And then the final part right there is just to do some renumbering. All right, chapter 4, this is our part. Oh, sorry, are there any comments on chapter 3? Okay. Well, on chapter 4, parking and streets, this just establishes parking for a data center, for an enclosed data center. Again, not very many employees here, so we're keeping that parking minimal. All right, for signs. So David Mattos, our building inspector, is the one that reviews and approves signs. And he was reviewing one recently and found that some of the language, which some of it came from the old code, didn't really work when you tried to apply it. So we've made the changes to make it actually applicable the way it should be. So, for example, for monument signs, that the maximum height of 5 feet would be measured from average grade. So we've added pole signs were left out of the new code, so we've added that back in, added where they're measured from. So, and then just like I said, just tried to clean up anything where it didn't either make sense or was unnecessary. So we're not allowing signs to be bigger anything like that. The square footage of the signs remains the same. Most of them, it's 100 square feet is the max square footage for a sign face. That's not changing. All right, any questions with signs? Okay. Chapter 6, Development Review. We have a few changes here. The first one, so we, as part of the new code, we adopted an administrative process that allows somebody that is doing like a kind of a small project. So, for example, we have somebody that's putting up a 5,000 square foot metal building, pervious parking. So rather than having them go through the entire process, they can go through an administrative only process with staff. So, but we do need limits on that. So that's what we've said is that if it's 5,000 square feet or less than 10% of the current square footage, it just wasn't written really clearly. That's how I communicate it to people, but it was not written clearly enough. So it's cleaning up that language. Under public notice, this is one that Lolly had identified that for rezonings, we have the notification to adjacent property owners, but conditional uses and variances weren't listed in there, even though they also are required to send out those notices. And then the next part is just cleaning up. If you remember the last set of UDO amendments from 2025, we made changes to put the soil and erosion control information in its own chapter. So this is just cleaning up a couple of references to make them match what we did with that moving that chapter to its own chapter 11. All right, under anything with chapter 6? Okay, moving on to subdivision regulations. So this is what we were talking about. So all major subdivisions are going to have to provide on-site usable amenities designed to serve the residents of the subdivision. They'll have to be shown on their plans, located in an area that's reasonably accessible to all subdivision residents, and then require that they be substantially completed and open for use once 50% of the total approved residential lots or dwelling units have received a certificate of occupancy. So, and the reason for that is lots of times we'll see the whole entire subdivision built, not necessarily here because we didn't have this language, but you'll see that the amenities are the very last thing to be built, and lots of times the developer's out of there, and then there's a fight to get those amenities in there. And then the final change in chapter 9 under maintenance and enforcement, when we made changes last year to the animal section, we put a limit on things like the number of chickens, but we did not add that they may not be permitted to roam outside of the property on which they are being kept. And so that is a problem for our code enforcement officer when he goes out to try to enforce that. He can enforce the number, but he can't enforce them being off the property right now. So this comes from him and helps him out. So those are the proposed changes to the UDO. But you can't have roosters now.
Still says that.
Right. It still says you cannot have roosters.
Good.
So
Was there anything about the lot
Density?
sizes? Yes.
So we are looking at that, but council is going to be having a workshop soon on building standards, and we're going to talk about density as part of that.
Okay, okay. I was wondering, because I figured that had been in this.
Oh yeah, no, I've marked up my UDO with proposals, but because they're going to talk about building standards, that's the perfect time to talk about that.
Okay.
So. All right.
Anybody from public want to speak before, or you're finished, right?
I'm finished.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Would y'all care to speak about any of this? All right. then.
I make a motion to approve the first set of the UOD amendments.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I'll second that motion. We got a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, we need one more motion.
I make a
Well, hold on. Hold
Oh,
on. So just a couple things. One, we will be kicking off our so the council approved our consultant to do our 25-year master plan for the city of Lincoln. So we're gonna be having our kickoff meeting in a few weeks. Once we get through that process and have a schedule with the consultant, we'll be bringing in the board, offering, times for y'all to meet with them as well and participate in that process. So look for that. Like I said, council is going to be having a workshop on building standards. Once we know when that's going to be, we'll share that with y'all. I know we're going to bring in some local builders to participate in that, but in case any of y'all are interested in that, we'll share that information as well. And then the final item that I have, unless there's something else I forgot, is that we are still searching for a new board member. So we posted something today about it. It closes February 2nd because we want to go ahead and get somebody appointed by council, ideally at their February 9th meeting, so we can have a new board member here and have a full board at your February 17th meeting. If you know anybody, the only thing I would say is they have to live within our municipal boundaries. So if they're not sure if they do, just because it says Rincon doesn't mean that they do. It's just because we're the nearest post office. If they're not sure, have them call us first before they, spend the time filling out our application. But if y'all know of anybody, please put the word out there. So, but they've got to have it in by February 2nd.
And real quick now, what's the difference? You said the master plan for 2025.
Sorry, 25-year master plan. I might have said 2025. Okay, 25-year master plan.
What is that in regards to the comprehensive plan?
So it's going to go into more, so the comprehensive plan is a guiding document that we use to make decisions within the city, make changes to the Unified Development Ordinance. Just like you did tonight, use it to look at projects that are coming forward. The 25-year master plan is going to look 25 years out. Usually the comprehensive plan is looking about 5 years out with some longer term goals too, but it's going to look 25 years out so that we can kind of plan what we want for the city. Council can plan what they want for the city before it gets planned for us. So it's going to look at a lot of the same things that you see in the comprehensive plan, but it's going to take some of those recommendations from the comprehensive plan and put real ideas about how to accomplish them. So things like creating a downtown, other methods of transportation, housing, all types of things like that. So
Do we have a old one that
we don't. This will be the first master plan for the city. So Wally and I are excited.
We're
It's
very excited.
it's going to be a really, really interesting project. So
It's 6 lanes.
We said exciting things.
okay, that's all I have.
Now we can make a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.